Their language.
Every time I open the app, I can choose to work on my writing, speaking, or listening. And it saves my mistakes for me to review, so I'm constantly improving. Before Babbel, I thought I just wasn't good with languages. But now I'm speaking French. Tout ça, c'est grâce à Babbel.
Save up to 50% on your Babbel subscription when you sign up at Babbel.com. Babbel.
Hey, Cudahy to all my friends and relatives in 4 directions. This is Robert Pilot of Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake. I'm here to ask you for your support. Finding honest Native-centered news is not easy. But with your support, we're able to provide accurate information about Standing Rock, Line 3, treaty violations, and COVID-19 in our Native communities. Please visit Native Roots Radio Network on Patreon and donate if you can. That's Native Roots Radio Network on Patreon. Pinigigi, and thank you for your support.
The city of Minneapolis is now on Native Roots Radio with Minneapolis AIR. AIR stands for American Indian Relations. Guest host Christine McDonald talks to people about important things affecting the city's Native communities. Minneapolis AIR dives into topics like public safety, public health, elections, and so much more. Tune in to Minneapolis AIR on Native Roots Radio from 5 to 6 p.m. on the second Wednesday of every month, right here on AM 950.
All My Relations Arts presents Matrilineal Memory by hobby artist Michaela Schaefer. This powerful exhibition blends painting, poetry, and installations, inviting reflections on memory, culture, and healing. Join us for the opening reception Thursday, October 16th, 6 to 8 p.m. at All My Relations Arts on Franklin Avenue in Minneapolis. Matrilineal Memory runs October 16th through December 13th. Experience the unveiling of an exhibition that speaks to the heart. Learn more at allmyrelationsarts.org.
Ever wonder how far you could go with a bachelor's or master's degree? Metro State University is hosting 2 open house events in October. Learn about their bachelor's degree programs on October 20th. Explore master's degrees and doctoral degrees on October 23rd. At the open house, you can attend a session about financial aid and receive help from financial aid staff. Discover how Metro State can help you take the next step in your career. Sign up today at metrostate.edu/open house. You belong at Metro.
The Minneapolis Police Department is hiring, and we're looking for people ready to lead, serve, and reflect the communities we protect.
Whether you're a new graduate, changing careers, or already in law enforcement, there's a path for you to join our department.
With top-tier pay, full benefits, paid training, and a direct path to making a difference, this is more than a job. This is your chance to shape the future of Minneapolis Police.
Choose service. Choose leadership. Choose Minneapolis. Visit our city website to learn more.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Brett Johnson. Look for a chance of rain tonight with a low around 53, Thursday cloudy with a high near 70, and Friday partly sunny with a high around 72. If you're craving delicious Chinese food, head to the Great Wall Restaurant for handmade dumplings, sesame chicken, and mushu pork with homemade Chinese pancakes. Located at 4515 France Avenue South. Learn more at greatwallrestaurant.us. That's greatwallrestaurant.us.
Portions of Native Roots Radio may be pre-recorded.
It's a good day to be indigenous. Get up, stand up.
They are going to become more brutal.
Because all the hippies were trying to be Indians anyway.
They're going to become more repressive because it's a matter of dollars and their illusionary concepts of power.
Hey, Victor.
We must live in balance with the earth.
And also with recent happenings at Wounded Knee.
I am awake. Welcome to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and I'm your host, Wakanja Hade. Hey, Cudahy to all my friends and relatives in 4 directions. You are listening to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and I'm your host, Robert Pilot. Hey, we discuss local, national, Native news and events, and as you know, Native issues are human issues, and human issues are Native issues. Hey, this episode of Native Roots Radio is presented in partnership with Little Moments Count and Minnesota Public Radio. Little Moments Count is a statewide collaborative focused on helping parents and caregivers learn about the importance of brain development in the first 3 years of life. And for more information, you can visit littlemomentscount.org. And I have Susan Beaulieu on here. Welcome, Susan. Thank you so much for coming on Native Roots Radio and talking about your journey. I was reading your bio here, and I think I'm going to read a little bit. Susan Beaulieu, she, her, is a Anishinaabe and a citizen of Red Lake And later on, Susan, we're going to have Bob Blake from Red Lake on the show. So this is going to be a Red Lake show. And in the northern part of Minnesota, she worked directly with Indigenous communities for nearly 2 decades in a variety of capacities, including a project in curriculum development, training, and facilitations. Her focus in the last 12 years has been helping communities, organizations, and individuals understand the impacts of unresolved ancestral and collective traumas. And I really appreciate that, because I really, being in the community, Susan, we know a lot of our relatives, including me, are still suffering from trauma that's been let down. And I just want to welcome to Native Roots Radio and thank you so much for being on.
Yeah, miigwech for inviting me, Robert, and I'm really excited to have this conversation today.
Well, I want to get right into it because we only have a short time. It's like, with your experience, I want to know how tough how tough experience can affect our child's brain, and we talk about trauma that's been handed down either through physical birthing trauma, but also learned trauma. Let's talk a little bit about that and the signs that a family might notice.
I'm so sorry.
No problem. It's live radio. We love that. It's cool.
Speaking of kiddos, one of them just opened up the door and then skedaddled because they saw me on. So your question was around how tough experiences impact the development of the brain. Was that right, Robert?
Yes. Thank you, Susan. Yes.
Yeah. So I think it's really fascinating. So I'll preface this by saying I'm not a neuroscientist. Maybe in my next life I will be, because I find the brain fascinating. But what's really important to understand is that our experiences, that's okay, honey, thank you. Our experiences wire our brains. So our brains are wired through our experiences. And one of the things that I want to add that I learned, it was during COVID, I attended online the International Trauma Conference. And one of the things that struck me was that it's not just the experiences that we have that wire our brain, but also the experiences our mother had. So if our mother had a lot of adverse childhood experiences, a lot of trauma that she experienced that she didn't have an opportunity to heal from, her nervous system is going to be more easily dysregulated, which means she's going to have those stress hormones coursing through her body, coursing through the baby's body and brain during development. And that literally wires and impacts the way that the brain develops. And so one of the things that I remember them saying that was absolutely, it blew my mind, is that constant fight flight response and those stress hormones that the mom is under during the development of her baby in utero. The baby's brain gets the message that they will be born into a dangerous environment or world. And so rather than having the neurons that would normally migrate up to the prefrontal cortex, that's our logical, rational thinking part of the brain, more of those neurons are kept in the part of the brain for fight flight. So that impacts over the long term that child's ability to wire their brain for prefrontal cortex, which that's our logical, rational thinking part of the brain, our ability to regulate, our ability to learn, to use language, all of that is in the prefrontal cortex. So it's just fascinating that even the experiences of our mothers and the traumas that they had begins to wire our brains even in utero. And so other things that impact the developing brain is if a baby is crying, they're hungry, they're tired, they're wet, those things. And when they get soothed right away, when they get fed, when they get supported, their brains learn that the world is a safe place. They learn that they can rely on other people. When those needs aren't met, their brains get wired to believe that the world's not a safe place and they can't rely on people. And so, I mean, that has all sorts of implications and we can talk about some of that, but those are just some of the first things that come to mind.
Well, Susan, I'm getting a little emotional here in all seriousness because I'm an adoptee and my birth mother was 14. And the trauma that she went through. There's no pictures of us. I was adopted when I was 18 months old. So I am kind of getting emotional here because it's come up lately, and I'm 64 years old.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And your mom, her brain was far from developed. That too, right? Like
Right.
our brains don't develop till our mid-20s, late 20s typically for males, mid-20s typically for females. And so just thinking about all that your mom had went through and how that got passed down epigenetically, energetically, but also in the way that your brain was wired. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think there's a lot of worried about people leaving, still to this day for
Absolutely.
me.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. So it was interesting as you were talking because I was thinking about, some of the things, that I've talked about in therapy, and that's come up where I personally, probably have not looked at that.
Yeah. Yeah. One of the things that I wanna bring in, Robert, is I feel like so often we hear things like, "Oh, kids are so resilient and, they won't
Mhm.
remember. They're too little to remember." But the truth is that it does wire our brains. It is stored in our body. There is a remembering of it, even if it's not at a conscious cognitive level. And so when I think about the importance of healing, it is for not just ourselves and our families that are here today, but also those yet to come. And then the other thing is that Indigenous people, we know time is not quite a linear thing, and when we heal here, we also help heal our ancestors. And so I just want that the invitation into healing is not necessarily an easy one, but boy, is it powerful. The ripples that it can have in our own lives, in our families, in our communities, backwards and forwards. And so, what that healing looks like is different for every person, but just really, I think it's so beautiful that you're in therapy and you're noticing these things. And it sounds like you're really trying to figure out, like, how do you begin to shift some of these patterns and beliefs and behaviors that are ingrained, some of your own experience, some is ancestral experience, right? And sometimes it's
Mhm.
hard to tease that apart, especially in things like talk therapy, which is why other modalities like somatic practices, tuning into the wisdom of the body, breath work, visualization, there's so many pathways to healing, including many of our own beautiful ceremonies and practices.
Right.
And it really is an invitation to explore like what resonates with us and how do we do more of those things that feel supportive for us, for our nervous systems, for our body, our heart, our mind, and our spirit.
I didn't want to make this about me, but breaking the cycle. We saw our
Oh,
grandchildren today. We see them
mm,
Wednesday and Thursday, and they're having such a different experience
yeah,
than even my children had. So
absolutely.
they're happy to see us, and we're happy to see them and be part of their life. And so I hope I didn't hijack our segment there, but it really struck me.
Not at all, and I'm really glad that it felt that it resonated, that it struck you, and yeah, thank you for your courage in sharing that part of your story.
Hey, we'll be right back. This is Native Roots Radio.
The city of Minneapolis is now on Native Roots Radio with Minneapolis AIR. AIR stands for American Indian Relations. Guest host Christine McDonald talks to people about important things affecting the city's Native communities. Minneapolis AIR dives into topics like public safety, public health, elections, and so much more. Tune in to Minneapolis AIR on Native Roots Radio from 5 to 6 p.m. on the second Wednesday of every month, right here on AM 950.
All My Relations Arts presents Matrilineal Memory by hobby artist Michaela Schaefer. This powerful exhibition blends painting, poetry, and installations, inviting reflections on memory, culture, and healing. Join us for the opening reception Thursday, October 16th, 6 to 8 p.m. at All My Relations Arts on Franklin Avenue in Minneapolis. Matrilineal Memory runs October 16th through December 13th. Experience the unveiling of an exhibition that speaks to the heart. Learn more at allmyrelationsarts.org.
Ever wonder how far you could go with a bachelor's or master's degree? Metro State University is hosting 2 open house events in October. Learn about their bachelor's degree programs on October 20th. Explore master's degrees and doctoral degrees on October 23rd. At the open house, you can attend a session about financial aid and receive help from financial aid staff. Discover how Metro State can help you take the next step in your career. Sign up today at metrostate.edu/open house. You belong at Metro.
The Minneapolis Police Department is hiring, and we're looking for people ready to lead, serve, and reflect the communities we protect.
Whether you're a new graduate, changing careers, or already in law enforcement, there's a path for you to join our department.
With top-tier pay, full benefits, paid training, and a direct path to making a difference, this is more than a job. This is your chance to shape the future of Minneapolis police.
Choose service. Choose leadership. Choose Minneapolis. Visit our city website to learn more.
Hi, this is Representative Sharice Davids from Kansas. I'm Ho Chunk, and you're listening to Native Roots Radio.
And we're back to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and this is Robert Pilot. Hey, welcome back, everyone. I am here with Susan Beaulieu, and this is an episode of Native Roots Radio is presented in partnership with Little Moments Count and Minnesota Public Radio. Welcome back. And I didn't want to really make this about me, but it really struck me with your work and how healing comes in different ways. But also, I guess what we want to talk about too is how basically, we can be on the alert where people do need help, where our young ones are acting out a little bit. Maybe we can talk a little bit about what an ACE score is and go from there.
Yeah. So I got trained in ACEs as an ACE interface presenter, ACE interface maybe 12 years ago or so. And up until that point, I hadn't heard of ACEs, but when I did, it really helped me connect the dots between the historical trauma that our communities had experienced and how that led to ACEs and ACEs cycles in our families and communities today. So ACEs stands for Adverse Childhood Experiences. There are 10 original ACEs in the original ACEs study under sort of like three categories. So you have abuse, neglect, and household dysfunction. And I won't get into what all of the ACEs are. You can look it up. You can type in like find my ACE score, and it'll show like a 10 questionnaire that you can just, say yes or no to. And for everything you say yes to, you give yourself 1 point. So you can get up to an ACE score of 10. Now, after having done this work for a while, one of the things that I want to, there's a couple things that I want to say about this. One is that when they did the ACEs study, it's what's called an epidemiological study. So they were looking at a population. They weren't looking at individuals. So sometimes people take the ACE score thing and they think, oh, I have an 8 out of 10, or I have a 10 out of 10. Like I'm, and then they began to create stories around that. But some of the things I want to bring up is that ACEs are not the only story. There are also positive childhood experiences that we can have that can offset ACEs, and we can talk a little bit about that as well. But the other thing is that the ACEs themselves don't define who we are or how we show up in this world, right? So just because somebody had a particular traumatic thing that happened, depending on the age that they were, depending on the gender, depending on what part of the brain was developing at the time, depending on the type of trauma, all of those things will impact how that ACE might show up in a young person's life. So it can get pretty complex, but I think that overall the story of it is that we know that traumatic experiences, especially in early childhood when the brain is developing rapidly, is really impactful. And the more that we can do to buffer that through relationship, through attunement with that baby, with that little one, those are things that are going to be really protective for them.
Wow. So we find out that there is some sort of issue, and then what we do is we need to take action, and part of the action is is the healing journey, and I believe, and let's talk a little bit about that because we're always into solutions here.
Yeah, I would love to, because when I first got trained in ACEs, I sort of was thinking like, oh, if people just know about this, then things will change. And I even thought that about myself. I'm a mother myself. I have 4 children. My oldest is 26, a 15-year-old, 11-year-old, and a 7-year-old. I'm a very, very different mom now than I was with my oldest. And can I share a really quick story about an aha
Absolutely.
I had as a mother? So my daughter Sophia, and she gave me permission to share this story, but my daughter Sophia, when she was maybe about 7, I was doing work in White Earth. We were doing the Tribal Neurosciences and Community Wisdom Project around ACEs, neuroscience, epigenetic ACEs, and resilience. And it was during the summer, and we were coming home from there, and she was she had brought stuff with her to do in the car. And so I'm driving, and all of a sudden I start feeling this like tightness in my belly. And I'm a pretty empathic person. I tend to feel energy pretty easily. And so I looked in the rearview mirror and I saw her in the back. She was really upset. And I was like, "Hey, Sophia, what's going on?" And she was explaining to me she was trying to build a house out of Legos on her lap, but she had nothing solid to build it on. And so they were falling apart. She was getting upset. And I was like, well, I was just learning about practices. So I was like, well, let's do some breathing. So I was like, follow me. I was trying to do some deep, soft belly breathing with her, and she's back there going, and she's like getting more and more activated, and I can feel it in my nervous system. And so I was like, that's okay. You don't have to do it. But I was so overwhelmed myself by her big emotion that in that moment, I only had 2 options. And those options were based on the options the ways that my parents responded when I was having big emotions. One parent would get really angry, get upset, shut me down, right? Not a big deal, blah, 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 blah. And then you'd like just shut down. The other parent, they would shut down. But the thing about it, and so this is what I did. I thought, okay, I'm just going to shut down because I don't want to yell at her. I don't want to get upset. But in that moment, I was so aware, Robert, that I was still sending the message to her that her big emotions were not okay. And if she wanted to stay in connection with me, she had to shut those emotions down. And I realized in that moment, I had to learn how to be able to sit with my own big emotions, to regulate my own nervous system so that I could be there to support her and her siblings when they were having big emotions.
That's interesting because as you were speaking, I was thinking about the parents' big emotion too. And you did mention that. And I remember, I told you I was 64 years old, and I remember one of the big bad things that could really turn into something is spilling milk.
Yes.
I mean, just in how the big emotions come from your parents and how to deal with that. And so I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah, absolutely. And so a lot of times, we want to focus on what can we do to support the kids. And the truth is the most powerful thing we can do to support our kiddos is to learn how to regulate our own nervous systems, to become aware of what's coming up for us, of what's needed for us to be able to regulate. One of the most powerful tools we have to influence our nervous system is our breath. And so a really powerful breath practice is a simple, like soft belly breathing. A lot of times when I facilitate things, I'll tell people like, take a deep breath, and they go, and it's all in the chest. And so there's a really important nerve called the vagal nerve that connects to from the back of the brain around the heart. It connects into every major organ in our torso, including wrapping around our stomach. So when we take those slow, deep belly breaths, it vibrates that vagal nerve, which then sends the message to the brain that we're safe. Because if we were running or fighting for our life, we couldn't take that slow, deep belly breath. So soft belly breathing, like that was one of the first things that I started doing. And I literally use it every single day. And what's really interesting is my kiddos, when I first started using it, they'd be like, oh, mom's upset, right? And so one of the things that's important too is normalizing we all have big emotions. None of us, we are human. None of us are immune to big emotions. And so they're like, yep, I'm feeling upset right now. I'm trying to regulate my nervous system. And so just doing that repeatedly. And can I share one more really quick story?
Yeah, definitely.
So I was cooking dinner one night, and this was probably like 3 years ago. So my little guy, who's 7 now, he was 4, and his sister, who's a little bit older than him, she was 8. And she was really upset about something. She has really big emotions. She's a deep feeler. I'm cooking supper, like things are boiling on the stove. And I hear her really upset. And I literally like cannot leave to go in there. And I'm thinking, okay, I'll finish this up quick and I'll go in there. And all of a sudden I hear her little brother, her 4-year-old brother. And he says, "It's okay, Lydia. Let's do some deep breathing." So they do some deep breathing together. And after about a minute, I hear him say, "There, do you feel better?" Right? So like the power of like modeling that for our kids and then also like practicing with them, So yes, absolutely.
We're really winding up here. I got to have you on again. I feel one of the things I wanted to say too about breathing, being a former brass player, is that in learning how to breathe is yawning. If you yawn, that's the proper way to take a deep breath and fill up your diaphragm as opposed to your chest.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Beautiful.
Yeah. Well, I can't believe this. I can't believe time's flown this fast. Maybe I can hold you on. I haven't seen Bob jump on yet. I want you to. We got like a minute left. I want you just to say whatever you want in regards to this.
Yeah, this journey can be a tough one, but what I can tell you, I've been on a really deep healing journey for the last 10 years, and I could not imagine the way that, like, the beautiful things that can unfold as we engage in our healing journey, both for ourselves, especially for our kiddos. I mean, I am seeing patterns breaking. I am seeing ripples in my extended family. Don't underestimate the power of your own healing. And really, like, my kids were my motivation to begin the healing journey. And then there came a point where I began to believe I'm worth it, right? Like, I'm worth doing the work. And when I do the work, everyone benefits. So, yeah.
Well, healing is contagious, and I think we've talked a lot about the negative side, but also healing is contagious too.
Absolutely.
And
Yeah.
can be passed down. Wow, Susan, I really do want to get you back on the show here.
I
I
would
really
love to.
appreciate it.
Yeah.
This was a great. It was a good session for me.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you again for having me. And I do look forward to joining you again. Thank you, Robert.
Right on. Susan Beaulieu, thank you so much. Up next, Bob Blake from Red Lake, the Solar Bear with the Solar News. We'll be right back.
The Minneapolis Police Department is hiring, and we're looking for people ready to lead, serve, and reflect the communities we protect.
Whether you're a new graduate, changing careers, or already in law enforcement, there's a path for you to join our department.
With top-tier pay, full benefits, paid training, and a direct path to making a difference, this is more than a job. This is your chance to shape the future of Minneapolis police.
Choose service. Choose leadership. Choose Minneapolis. Visit our city website to learn more.
All My Relations Arts presents Matrilineal Memory by hobby artist Michaela Schaefer. This powerful exhibition blends painting, poetry, and installations, inviting reflections on memory, culture, and healing. Join us for the opening reception Thursday, October 16th, 6 to 8 p.m. at All My Relations Arts on Franklin Avenue in Minneapolis. Matrilineal Memory runs October 16th through December 13th. Experience the unveiling of an exhibition that speaks to the heart. Learn more at allmyrelationsarts.org.
Ever wonder how far you could go with a bachelor's or master's degree? Metro State University is hosting 2 open house events in October. Learn about their bachelor's degree programs on October 20th. Explore master's degrees and doctoral degrees on October 23rd. At the open house, you can attend a session about financial aid and receive help from financial aid staff. Discover how Metro State can help you take the next step in your career. Sign up today at metrostate.edu/open house. You belong at Metro.
Across Native communities, voting is a tradition that brings generations together. Make voting a tradition, or MVAT, helps families and neighbors learn about elections, including ranked choice voting on November 4th in Minneapolis and St. Paul. With ranked choice voting, you can rank up to 3 candidates, giving everyone a stronger voice. Through trusted relationships, MVAT helps neighbors and families get involved in shaping the future of their communities. Vote together. Stand together. Learn more at makevotingatradition.org.
The city of Minneapolis is now on Native Roots Radio with Minneapolis AIR. AIR stands for American Indian Relations. Guest host Christine McDonald talks to people about important things affecting the city's Native communities. Minneapolis Air dives into topics like public safety, public health, elections, and so much more. Tune in to Minneapolis Air on Native Roots Radio from 5 to 6 p.m. on the second Wednesday of every month, right here on AM 950.
AM 950, KTN up, St. Louis Park, Minneapolis, St. Paul.
Hey, it's Tom. There's a war being waged on clean energy. A bill in Congress could eliminate the 30% federal tax credit for solar by the end of 2025. And once it's gone, it may never come back. Fossil fuel giants and their MAGA friends in Washington want to kill green energy. But you can fight back. Going solar with all energy solar isn't just smart, it's a form of resistance. You choose where your money goes, not to utility companies, not to fossil fuel billionaires, but toward clean, renewable power for your home. A system from All Energy Solar works in Minnesota year-round because it runs on sunlight, not heat. So even in the dead of winter, you're generating electricity. And All Energy Solar helps you save with every rebate and incentive available. This is the moment to act. Waiting means risking with this tax credit and giving the upper hand to MAGA Republicans. So get your free consultation today at allenergysolar.com and take back your power.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Brett Johnson. Look for a chance of rain tonight with a low around 53, Thursday cloudy with a high near 70, and Friday partly sunny with a high around 72. The Great Wall Restaurant serves up bold, authentic Chinese flavors. From hot and sour soup to Peking duck, their Szechuan and Mandarin menu is packed with favorites. Visit them at 4515 France Avenue South or at greatwallrestaurant.us. That's greatwallrestaurant.us.
Oh, this is Dallas Goldtooth, and you're listening to the Native Roots Radio. Hoka, hicha, wecha.
Welcome back to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and this is Robert Pilot. Hey, welcome back, everyone. We are here with Solar Bear with the Solar News, and a lot going on, and a lot of things happening climate-wise, and it's great to have you on, and then we'll talk a little sports, maybe a little later on. But Bob Blake, Solar Bear with the Solar News, welcome to Native Roots Radio as always.
Hey, Robert, great to be here. There is so much happening right now, around the country because, what happened, Robert, just recently, and I'm sure everyone has seen in the news, that this administration essentially canceled out projects that were set to begin construction. Renewable energy projects that were set to begin construction in communities that spent so much time developing around workforce development, planning, policy. You see, Robert, what I think people need to understand out there is we have a very old grid, electric grid, and in that electric grid, we need to make all these different types of, how would you say, upgrades,
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes that's transmission lines. Sometimes that's like, all the electrical equipment that goes along with it, Anyways, long story short, these were the things that we were getting done so that we could put the renewable energy, build it, and put it up to the grid, right?
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of that takes time and it takes planning. And there are plenty of people that worked in the policy world to be able to make that happen. And now comes along this administration and is friends with the fossil fuel industry and all of his buddies, and they don't like the way renewable energy has caught on in the country, and so their big thing is we need to kill the renewable energy industry. And I just listened to your bumper there, from Tom Hartman, and he was talking about it, and so it's real, Robert, and I unfortunately. What happened was a lot of these projects across the country now have been pulled back. And I want to remind folks too, you know, a lot of these were all under contracts. So, you know, where's contract law? Like, I thought that's what we as a country got behind. I thought that's what the Supreme Court would get behind. But we know that, and we now know that the Supreme Court is compromised if they're not behind contract law.
Well, check it out too. We talked a little bit, message back and forth. What's happened up in Alaska, for instance, with the typhoon? There are warning signals that normally come that weren't available because of cuts.
Exactly, and that's the other point about this, folks. Like, we're a lot of people are going to die. They're going to get hurt because of the cuts that this administration is making. And I just saw a report on these young Republicans. And Robert, it makes me question now. And Robert, you're a parent, and I am in no way casting shade on parents right now, what they have to go through. They have to go through a lot. But I'm just wondering, Robert, and I'm asking the question, and I'm asking it out there to everyone, because we're giving awards to everybody and no one never loses, are we losing our ability to have empathy for our fellow man? And because we're not learning how to lose, we're not learning how to empathize with, not being able to relate to other people and their misery, so to speak. So consequently, did we just raise a generation of brats now?
Well,
that are.
Let me just say this. Yes. No, I'm just kidding. One of the things I believe with this administration is that there's a lot of things that have come out, whether it's okay to be racist up front, it's okay to, so maybe these people that are narcissistic, like the president, have felt empowered to be able to act like big brats. I that's what I believe. But
yeah, because I mean, I'm just saying, like, I just remember, growing up, and you 1, 2, 3, you get, you get first, second, and third place, and if you don't get it, you don't get it. I mean, I think there was a learning lesson in that, and then somehow, like, it changed, and I'm just wondering now that we're dealing with this next generation of folks coming in, the
only thing that I think that happened this last generation was COVID and people not being able to go to school and to deal with people. I don't really believe there's still placings out there. They still understand that. I just think COVID's really kind of changed a generation there.
Yeah, check this article out, Robert, on Political. I think it's fascinating for these young Republicans and hearing their gripes, because I feel like it's just a lot of crying is what I feel like. It's like a lot of ooh me,
Well, we talked about that Political our article yesterday with Arvina Martin, and I don't know if it's the same article, but it definitely talked about what the Republican young people were talking about in some chat, and it really brought out a lot of weirdness, because, well, look at, people, a lot of young people adored Charlie Kirk, and what he said is way offline, what he believed in. But there was other people that joined in on that.
Yeah, and that's my point, Robert. Like, did we go too far when we started telling all our kids like they were number one and they were the best, and that the world is their oyster for them? You know what I mean? Like, and because like there's a certain thing you learn about losing. There's a certain way that there's a certain lesson you learn about. You realize that, okay, it didn't work this time. I got to work harder for next time. You know what I mean? And knowing that, being told that. I'm glad I had 2 older brothers that told me, Bob, you're the worst. You're never gonna accomplish anything.
Wow. Well,
it made me want to just work that much harder, you know? And
Well, I remember reading the article probably in the 70s about the the our generation was worthless, selfish, lazy, and then the quote was by Aristotle when he was talking about kids. So I think we all go through this process. I just think the Republican children are out in front because of the way we have our leadership here. I mean, we can talk about mass shootings are okay too. People seem to be jumping into that. No problem, where that wasn't happening when we were kids either.
yeah, yeah, good point. I mean, hey man, I think there's a lot to be learned here. There's a lot to be analyzed, because I just don't know how you can have a generation that thinks that, being a Nazi is okay. I mean, I just don't know where that comes from, Robert. I'm just honest.
Yeah.
Okay, so
It's been boiling up for a while, is what I believe, and now we have a president that's saying, when remember the Tiki Boys, he said, and then they killed that girl that was protesting him, and the president said they're both a good group of people.
oh, I know, unbelievable. Robert, we've got interconnection bottleneck is threatening community solar down in Illinois. And it was interesting because I met this woman at a conference I spoke at in Detroit, Michigan yesterday, who works in clean energy down in Illinois, a native woman, and she does a lot of the workforce development. And we were just talking about the interconnection process and how the utilities are holding us up. And
Right.
I had to tell her. I said, they know that, I don't think they expected the success or the price of community solar projects, renewable energy solar, to come down as fastly as it did.
Right.
And now, you look at these renewable energy projects, I mean, they're beating natural gas. I mean, they're being the cheapest energy source out there. And that is just remarkable. I mean, this is like what the renewable energy industry did to the electrical industry is like nothing short of a miracle. To turn it on its back like this.
Right. Well, and we talked about, for as long as you've been on the show, how the pricings went down, whether it was solar panels, whether it was batteries and the technology. And then you love my analogy about the calculator that was as big as a laptop, and it was like really expensive, and now you can have a calculator on the tip of your pen.
Oh, Robert, you were so correct. And I mean, I think though, Robert, that I want the folks out there to know and hear is that we learned a lot. We learned a lot about just getting renewable energy into our communities. And so I think the next time around, we are going to be just that much better at deploying it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, good call there. Did you see White Earth is suing 3M because of those forever ever chemicals that they've been putting in there? That's a real interesting solar bear news, maybe.
Yeah, well, I mean, okay, so on that situation, I mean, I think we also need to think about too, Robert, all of the coal plants out in North Dakota that are burning coal, and that mercury rides the jet wave, the jet stream, and lands on all of Minnesota's lakes. And so, if you think about that pollution, Robert, and what that's doing to our tourism industry, to our fish, to our freshwater lakes, you could probably make a case against the energy companies that they knew what they were doing, just like 3M knew what they were doing. And this isn't, to me, Robert, anything different than, remember all the cases that went against the cigarette companies?
Oh, yeah. Well, and I also wanted to say too, we're going to take a quick break, Bob, but I also wanted to say too, when we went down to Iowa and all those factory farms you can smell in the state of Iowa and southern Minnesota, that's going in our air too. And that's how you and I became radio stars, is down in Iowa. Oh, wow. Hey, Native Roots Radio will be right back after this short break. I'm with Bob Blake from Red Lake, Solar Bear with the solar news. Up next, Solar Bear with the sport news. Oh,
The city of Minneapolis is now on Native Roots Radio with Minneapolis AIR. AIR stands for American Indian Relations. Guest host Christine McDonald talks to people about important things affecting the city's Native communities. Minneapolis AIR dives into topics like public safety, public health, elections, and so much more. Tune in to Minneapolis AIR on Native Roots Radio from 5 to 6 p.m. on the second Wednesday of every month, right here on AM 950.
All My Relations Arts presents Matrilineal Memory by hobby artist Michaela Schaefer. This powerful exhibition blends painting, poetry, and installations, inviting reflections on memory, culture, and healing. Join us for the opening reception Thursday, October 16th, 6 to 8 p.m. at All My Relations Arts on Franklin Avenue in Minneapolis. Matrilineal Memory runs October 16th through December 13th. Experience the unveiling of an exhibition that speaks to the heart. Learn more at allmyrelationsarts.org.
Ever wonder how far you could go with a bachelor's or master's degree? Metro State University is hosting 2 open house events in October. Learn about their bachelor's degree programs on October 20th. Explore master's degrees and doctoral degrees on October 23rd. At the open house, you can attend a session about financial aid and receive help from financial aid staff. Discover how Metro State can help you take the next step in your career. Sign up today at metrostate.edu/open house. You belong at Metro.
The Minneapolis Police Department is hiring, and we're looking for people ready to lead, serve, and reflect the communities we protect.
Whether you're a new graduate, changing careers, or already in law enforcement, there's a path for you to join our department.
With top-tier pay, full benefits, paid training, and a direct path to making a difference, this is more than a job. This is your chance to shape the future of Minneapolis police.
Choose service. Choose leadership. Choose Minneapolis. Visit our city website to learn more.
I'm Lieutenant Governor Peggy Flanagan, and I want to be your next United States Senator, and you are listening to Native Roots Radio.
Welcome back to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and this is Robert Pilot. Hey, welcome back, everyone. I am here with Bob Blake from Red Lake and Solar Bear with the Solar News. And you were traveling and on a speaking engagement, and wanted to touch base with you. My Brewers there from Milwaukee are 0-2 now with the hated Dodgers, and there's more reasons to hate the Dodgers too. The owner of the Dodgers has heavily invested in ice camps, and so he's not a good person. Plus, we like our neighboring state, the Brewers, but they're down 0-2.
Yeah, I mean, isn't Magic Johnson one of the owners too of the LA Dodgers? And
right,
I mean, this guy's had HIV for dang near 30 years, Robert, 40 years.
Right.
I mean,
yeah.
So, I mean, you know, what if we got those drugs for, everyone else that contracted the virus, right? I'm just saying, like,
right.
It's like there's, it's like the HMOs and everything, they make all this money, you know what I mean, off of us being sick. And then and if you don't have the money, you don't get the medicine. And I don't know, I think Magic's a perfect example of the guy who's got the money, who's been able to get the right medication. And it really makes me believe that how many other, other things that they figured out with cancer and everything else that they're just not sharing with us so they can continue to bill us.
Well, and one of the points I'd like to make when it comes to Magic Johnson and all these athletes, and just generally speaking, I believe most of our athletes are Republican, and money does crazy things to people no matter where you're from. It's amazing, but I don't like to talk about that because I like baseball and I do follow football, and I feel like football is a big plantation too. These guys don't have contracts. Only a few people have contracts that are guaranteed. So you break a leg, you're done.
Well,
you don't even get to pay you.
Well, how about the NFL, right? I was getting the public to pay for their stadiums. So socializing the costs, but then, internalizing the profits, right? That's because that's what they do. You know what I mean?
The NFL is a nonprofit. Did you know that?
There you go, right there. So they socialize the cost of the game, but then they maximize the profits for themselves. Like, boy, isn't that a scam? You know what I mean? So
It is, and we paid $1 billion. It was cheaper to go to Mars the first time than it was to build US Bank Stadium.
right. And I'll be the first to tell you, I love going to that stadium. It's such a good time.
See, and I've been boycotting it because of the birds. But if you have a empty seat in your suite, give me a call.
Yeah, I'll let you know. I just got invited to the Timberwolves suite here in a couple weeks, so I'll be checking that out. But Robert, the Vikings have a game coming up,
Yeah.
and it's the Philadelphia Eagles on the 19th, right?
Yep.
Philadelphia has not been performing; they've been losing. So I
The
think
Giants beat them, right? The
Yep.
Giants, the 1-4 Giants beat them.
Cam Skidebo and Jackson Dart, I believe. They really came together. But I'll tell you what, Robert, I think the Vikings have a chance to beat the defending champion Philadelphia Eagles this Sunday at US Bank Stadium. And yes, and I'm telling you, all you sports fans out there, this is going to be a really good game. But I really do believe that Carson Wentz, who was the star at one point in time at the Philadelphia Eagles, Robert, is going to have a statement game here.
Well, is he still injured though? Because isn't there still a quarterback controversy when it comes to who's going to start?
I really feel like KOC is going to lean on Wentz to start this game. I don't think he's going to hand it over to JJ McCarthy just quite yet. And I got to tell you, Robert, I think that they were able to have this bye week off. They were able to get some rest. They were able to, kind of get everybody healthy again. And I'm just saying, man, I really like the odds of the Vikings beating the defending champion Philadelphia Eagles at US Bank Stadium and Carson Wentz having one of the best games of his career.
Amen to that. That'd be great. Well, we had Addison was kind of benched the first quarter of the last game because some attitude issues, but he'll be there the whole game. Now, hopefully, he won't start out the game with some attitude issues. Maybe that's what you were talking about last segment. These young ones thinking they can have an attitude. Oh, wow.
Yeah, and the way that I understand it is, he didn't make like a team meeting or something. He was late, something like that. And who knows where he was. But, I imagine if you're in a foreign country, it would probably be a good idea to stick with your team. And, the team security, that's another point. Why didn't team security have, so everybody, just so y'all know, Solar Bear used to sit with the teams when they used to come in from out of town. At the Westin out in Edina. I used to sit with the teams, and I used to get this little list of the players, and I used to have to go and check on their rooms. Yep, and I'm there with one of the team guys, and we would mark them off. Where was team security, Vikings? I still think Neil Bender is probably doing the security for the Vikings. Good guy, former St. Paul cop. I'm almost positive he's still doing it. So, but I don't want to put it all on him because there's probably other folks involved. But hey, man, we're like, how do we let Jordan Addison get away? Like, he's kind of important to the team, everybody.
Yeah, well, he showed it when he came back. So this time of the season, if you're a sports nut, you got hockey, football, baseball, and basketball coming up. It's insane.
Robert, this is the greatest time to be a sports fan. I'm telling you, this is what it's all about. I love the fall. And not only that, we've got Halloween coming up. Everybody, it's on a Friday. The Solar Bear is going to be out celebrating Halloween on Friday night. I'm super excited. Robert, by the way, my Halloween costume is going to be the frog. I'm going to wear the frog
Right.
I'm gonna wear the frog costume as like a protester.
Well, interesting too. Did you get one because they've sold out in a lot of places? So
I was told today at lunch from my buddy that he got us the costume. So
good.
I'm gonna be wearing it, everybody, when I'm out this on Friday night, going around the town. So I'm really looking forward to that. But I'm telling you, Robert, I think the Vikings are going to win this Sunday. I'm really, Robert. Here's the other thing: the Dodgers just look tough. I'm sorry, they look tough. I just don't know how that's going to work out for our Milwaukee Brewers and Wisconsin people. I am pulling for you on that. Incidentally, this last game with the Packers playing the Cincinnati Bengals, Packer fans, I didn't like the way the defense looked. I did. That was a backup quarterback. That should not have happened that close of a game with the Packers and Bengals. The Packers should have blew the Bengals out.
Well, hey, just to change subject, we're ending the show right now. A good ups on the Packers. Hey, so are you going to the No Kings march this weekend on Saturday? That's be a good time to wear that costume too.
I gotta see if my buddy got our costumes. He said he ordered them, so I would definitely wear it to the No Kings. And absolutely, everybody, go to the No Kings march. We should not have kings in our democracy. We never wanted it or intended it to be like that. And so we need to be and stand up for our rights and be there to show resistance to this administration.
So is that the Solar Bear with the Solar News?
That is the Solar Bear with the Solar News.
Thank you, Bob. Thank you, as always, for coming on. Hey, this is Native Roots Radio. If you're listening to the show, you're part of the resistance. From Chief Plenty Coops, the ground on which we stand on is sacred ground. It's the blood of our ancestors. We need to resist, divest, join a group, run for office, and vote, and go to No Kings and go Vikings. We'll see you tomorrow.
Ever wonder how far you could go with a bachelor's or master's degree? Metro State University